Hello students,
Start
once again
presenting.
I welcome you all to our online classes, and today, as you know very well, I am going to start the lesson 1. Actually, I started the lesson, but yesterday I completed Introduction to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and today in this class I am going to start the very first text or the first lesson, which is titled as I have 3 visions for India. Students, as you know, this particular lesson is a speech which was delivered by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam at IIT Hyderabad, that is Indian Institute of Technology, Hyderabad, on 25th of May 2011. Actually, it is one of the very inspirational speeches delivered by APJ Abdul Kalam. And as the whole world knows that APJ Abdul Kalam had a prophetic and visionary mission to build a stringe for developed India. He has outlined his own vision for the nation and its development. And he did not give only the concept, but he has also introduced and addressed the ways to attain it. As far as this lesson is concerned, which is titled as I have 3 visions for India, the author mainly talks about 3 different visions. That is, vision 1, freedom; vision 2, India's development, means he wanted to see India as a developed country; and vision 3 is making our country as a military and economic power. So the entire lesson deals with these 3 aspects in particular. But similarly, he has touched upon several other aspects also. If you start with the text, so I will not read out word to word or line to line. So I hope you have the textbook in front of you. Each and every bit which is presented by APJ Abdul Kalam in his speech, I will try to cover the explanation of every aspect, every bit in my lecture today. So students, as you know, the author actually starts talking about the history of India, and he goes back to the pages of the history for almost 3,000 years. If you really go back to the pages of history, you will realize that the people from all over the world put an effort to invade India, captured our land, conquered our mind. Now you see, all these things are presented and very much written in the books of history. If you go back to the past, you will find the first entry over there when Alexander the Great tried to invade India. In fact, it is said like that was the first invasion as far as the last 3,000 years of invasions are concerned. But even before that, so many people have tried to invade India. You have the Greeks, the Turks, the Mughals, the Portuguese. In the modern time, even we have seen the British, the French, and the Dutch, and so on and so on. What was the motive of all these invaders? The motive was nothing but to extract the best of our land, number one. They wanted to capture this land, and they also put their hard efforts to conquer our minds. But if you see, in the course of a long span of time, so many people coming from different countries, different regions of this world, they tried a lot. But we, the Indians, have maintained our identity. That is Indianness, our civilization, our culture, our religion, our ideology, and everything that you call Indian in particular, the genuine Indian, I mean to say. So, APJ Abdul Kalam is making a very clear statement in his speech that all of them came to India in order to loot us. Of course, in the material point of view. Probably you might have heard a Hindi proverb in this respect, that once upon a time, India was a sone ki chidiya. And whenever the people from foreign land, they used to refer India or Bharat, they were always optimistic that if at all we could reach out here, we would get precious stones and precious metals. Probably you might have heard about the 17 invasions of Muhammad Ghazni also, who came to Surti Somnath, one of the temples over here. For 17 times he came, he looted, he went back, but the treasure of the temple did not come to an end. I hope you know about the treasure there in Kerala also. There is one Venkateshwara Swami temple. You know, we are unable to even count the treasure till date. Just imagine the kind of treasure maintained by the Indians, and that's why probably the outsiders, especially the foreigners, do talk about us that way. And here, APJ Abdul Kalam has made a very clear statement that the Greeks, Turks, Mughals, Portuguese, British, French, Dutch, and all of them, till date, everybody came here in order to loot us. But if you see the other side, do you remember that India has ever tried to do so with any other country, with any other nation? No. India has never done this to any other nation, and that is proven in the pages of the history. As you know, history demands proofs related to the past. And of course, you can go through the history of the entire world, you will realize that Indians or India has never put any effort in the view to dominate or to loot or extract any other nation. It means, as APJ Abdul Kalam says, we never grabbed others' land, we never invaded their culture, and it can be seen throughout the history itself. It means we never enforced our ways of life upon others. But is it the case with the people, those who invaded us? Greeks came, they came with their lifestyle, with their culture, with their ideology, with their religion. They tried to dominate us. Turks and Mughals came, they also did the same. And later, from the 16th century onwards, Europeans like Portuguese, British, French, and Dutch came. They also looted our country. They extracted the best of us. They influenced our culture. They tried to change our lifestyle. And so much and so on has already been seen in the pages of the history. But probably there will be one idea in your mind that why Indians have never enforced their ways of living upon others. According to APJ Abdul Kalam, there is a fundamental reason for this. What is the fundamental reason? As I am quoting APJ Abdul Kalam, because we respect the freedom of others. If at all I ask you a question, and the question is very, shocking actually, and if at all the same question is posted to me, my answer will be negative. Would you ever like to be a slave? I don't think so. That anybody will ever like to be a slave. And if at all this question is asked to me, I will also say the same. Because Indians have never tried to enslave others. Especially, we never tried to enslave any other country. As you know, Mughals came and ruled over us for several centuries. Subsequently, British, French, and Portuguese came. They made their colonies in different parts of India, different regions of India, and we were under their influence, political influence, for a couple of centuries. So if you see, the last 1,000 years or so, Indians were politically dominated and influenced by outsiders. So now we are talking about the concept of freedom. And as I said in my introduction itself, that the first vision that APJ Abdul Kalam had for India is nothing but freedom. What do you mean by freedom? Actually, freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint, and the absence of a despotic government. To extend the concept further, the right to freedom of association is recognized as a human right all over the country, and a political freedom and a civil liberty. What do you mean by that? Sometimes some people misinterpret the concept of freedom. Freedom doesn't mean exercising your freedom at the cost of the freedom of others. You cannot do that. Suppose you have a fancy in mind that you want to beat your drum in the midnight. Can you do so in the society? Can you do so in the middle of the night at your home? I don't think so. Because in the midnight, the people in the surrounding, the people in the neighborhood have a natural right to sleep without any disturbance in the night. Okay. So here, you need to accept that others also have their freedom, and you cannot exercise your freedom of beating the drum in the middle of the night at the cost of the freedom of sleeping without disturbance that of the other people. It means, if at all you want to understand the same concept in a simple Marathi word, freedom doesn't mean swairachar. You should protect the freedom of others, and you should also exercise your own freedom. So the common good of common all, the common consideration of common all, is the fundamental of living a very comfortable life in a society. So here, the concept of political freedom is nothing but that allows you power or a right to act, means your action, to speak means to speech out, to
Zoom
speak
app
out, to
डिलीट करून हे झूम घेतले मी
or to think
त्याच्यावर
however
चला
you
गेलं
want.
ते आवाजाचं
But it
म्हणून
doesn't
दुसरं
mean
घेतलं ते
that
डिलीट मला झूम
it
येते
is done at the cost of the
नीट चालू
freedom of
क्लास आहे वाटते
others.
तुझा आता
So this is the actual concept of
संपले
freedom
वाटते तुझी
as
क्लास
such. Now you try to refer to APJ Abdul
शिल्पा
Kalam.
पाटील मॅडम
He has
12-23
expressed
ला
his point in the textbook in 3 lines or so.
आता केलं
But
का
actually he is
मॅडम
talking
मला
about
घेऊन
freedom.
काय
He goes back again to the pages of
हा
history
एवढंच आहे.
and he takes us
का बरं घेणार
to the first war of
कशामध्ये
independence,
म्हणतेस माहिती का मी?
that is
आता चाललंय
1857.
बी मध्ये आहेस का तू
The freedom struggle of
खरं
1857. I hope you remember
नाही इकडून इकडून
Jhansi ki Rani,
इकडून आली
that
याला
is Lakshmibai, and other companions, those who
एक
fought
कवर पीस
along with her against
मला
the
पहिल्यापासून
British system,
मी सांग कारण असल्याशिवाय
especially against
पीठ फाडून
the system which
Sabah
was
hai.
imposed
Sabah
by
nahi, tu सांगण्यासाठी
East
पीठ फाडून
India Company.
फाड बर तू
बघ
Because since East India Company and their people came to India,
सगळं
they politically exercised their power
बापरे
throughout the country or expanded throughout the country, and their control was here in our country till 1857. But when Indians fought the first war of independence in 1857, the powers were transferred to the Queen or the King of Great Britain. And then onwards, we were not the colony, but we became the part of the empire of British. That is called the British Empire. I hope you know, the whole world also knows, that there was no sunset in the British Empire. What does it mean? It means that the Britishers reach out to almost all corners of the world, and they have their own influence of colonies and the influence of imperialistic approach and attitude, having their own control on different parts of the world. All continents were politically dominated by them. And that's why it was said that there was no sunset in the British Empire. But here, APJ Abdul Kalam is trying to say that you have to protect your own freedom. At the same time, you should also protect the freedom of others. Because as your freedom is important to you, significant to you, necessary to you, similarly, you need to protect the freedom of other people around you. Point number 2, in this respect, he talks about nurturing freedom. See, freedom actually is an abstract term. Okay. If at all I define also, intellectually you will understand. But how far I can really show you as a matter of fact or as a matter or an object? No, I cannot. Third thing, as he promoted, is we need to build on freedom. Means there are 3 suggestions offered by APJ Abdul Kalam. I quote, we must protect, nurture, and build on freedom. Until and unless we are free, no one will respect us. The person who is enslaved, the person who has no freedom, cannot be respected by others, or generally is not respected by others. This is the philosophy of APJ Abdul Kalam. So here, before I conclude this particular point, that is first vision, that is freedom, according to APJ Abdul Kalam, I would like to add on something from my end. Whenever we talk about freedom, different types of, freedoms are there and slaveries are there. If you refer to George Bernard Shaw, he said somewhere once that we are slave to nature. So nature to man slavery is there. And another very dangerous slavery is man to man slavery. A man or a human being imposing slavery upon other human beings, as it was there in the USA, America. Blacks or the Negroes were treated as slaves, and they were also sold out in the auctions, in the market. But that is the past now. Today they are exercising real freedom, no doubt about it. But here I would like to say, nature has imposed slavery upon us, like we should eat, we should walk, we should drink water, we should clean ourselves, we should change our attire or dresses. Okay, we have to maintain ourselves, we should sleep. These are the impositions made by the nature upon us, but they are, of course, for our betterment. And if you deny to do so, nature will punish you. Suppose you decide that you are not going to sleep anymore. Today onwards, you are not going to sleep. For a day or two, you can manage. Otherwise, while walking also, you will start sleeping, or else you will go mad. It means whatever slavery the nature has imposed upon the human beings or the other animals in the world, that is of course good for us. And that we cannot deny at all. But the slavery which is imposed by human beings upon other human beings is something very, very dangerous, and that is unnatural. That is man-made. So nature-made slavery is one part and man-made slavery is another part. So here you need to accept that when APJ Abdul Kalam is talking about the concept of freedom, the foremost point that he is going to recommend over here is we must protect, nurture and build on freedom, number one. And number two, until and unless we are not free, no one will respect us. And this is the first concept that APJ Abdul Kalam talked about, or the first vision as APJ Abdul Kalam has talked about. Now, I switch over to the next point. That is the second vision according to APJ Abdul Kalam, that is India's development. What is the title or the heading given here? Second vision focuses on India's development. Mind it well, for a long period of time, we were controlled by the foreigners, especially when the British, French and Portuguese came in the medieval period. They started controlling us politically. We were in the kind of colonies or slavery of the British Raj, I would say. And since independence, that is from the 15th of August 1947 onwards, we are constantly striving, or we have been constantly striving for the overall development of our country. Actually, today, this is the time for us to see ourselves as a developed nation. Even after the freedom, okay, almost 73, 74 years we completed till date, we are still labeled as a developing country. Mind it well, we have been constantly striving hard, no doubt about it. But even today, the developed countries like the USA, Russia, Japan, Great Britain, France, Germany, all these developed countries look us down upon. It means they always give us the secondary importance. The reason is we are not yet fully developed in their terms, according to their standards. But one thing is satisfactory. In the long span of time, whatever we achieved is also remarkable, no doubt about it. We cannot say that we did nothing. We did so many things. That's why we are standing very comfortably in the world today. If you see, in terms of gross domestic product, that is GDP, as you are the students of commerce faculty, so you know very well what I mean to say about GDP or gross domestic product. We are among the top 5 nations in the world today. As far as our economy is concerned, constantly we are growing, no doubt about it. And here, the growth rate of our country is around 10% or so. And that is a very good number, no doubt. So maybe some of you do not know about GDP. Actually, the gross domestic product means it is a kind of index. It is a kind of market value. It is the market value of all final goods and services produced within a country in a particular or a given period of time. That is called gross domestic product. And here, APJ Abdul Kalam has said in his text, in his book or in his speech, that our GDP is constantly growing and we are among the top 5 nations in the world. And that is a very good sign. In addition, the poverty levels are also constantly falling. I just referred to the Government of India document in this respect. As Government of India has stated in 2019, 6.7% of its population is below its poverty limits. And 68.8%, that is two-thirds of our population, or India's population or Indian people, live in poverty even today, whose earning is less than 160 rupees per day. There are around 30% of people in India, their earning is less than 100 rupee per day. And such people are called extremely poor people in the country. So these figures are also very shocking and surprising. We need to improve ourselves in that respect also in order to, upgrade our standards and our image in the world. So, of course, there are so many achievements also in the scientific point of view, military point of view, or else your solar energy point of view, your ISRO, that is Indian Space Research Technology point of view. By all means, we have developed, no doubt about it. We are constantly developing ourselves. There are so many achievements also, no doubt. But as a matter of fact, if you see here, this particular aspect, that achievements are being globally recognized today. And yet, we lack self-confidence to see ourselves as a developed nation. Actually, we should be self-reliant and self-assured in order to see ourselves as a developed nation. So students, I have hardly a couple of minutes to go. At any moment of time, I think I will get disconnected. But anyway, wherever I stop, I will continue in the next class, no doubt about it. So probably I'll be able to complete the point 2, that is second vision, India's development. So here, APJ Abdul Kalam wants to see or wanted to see India as a developed nation. Probably you might have read his book, Vision 2020. In fact, he passed away in 2015, but he wanted to see India as a developed nation by 2020. And now, right now, we are in 2020. Today, we are facing the crisis or the pandemic created by COVID-19, that is Corona. Everybody else is held up at home, along with you all and myself as well here. And that's why we are conducting our classes online. Instead of meeting over there in the classroom, having the students sitting in front and having a very good interaction with them all. That is not possible presently because of pandemic situations. But as a matter of fact, India has considerably developed in different arenas of life in the last 70 or 75 years or so since we got freedom. So this is a very good sign. If at all, we could put in extra efforts in the years to come, maybe another 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, very constantly, maybe we will be able to refine our own image, upgrade our own image, and we will be among the top nations in the world. So you might have heard about G7. G7 is a group of 7 countries, those who have claimed that they are the highly sophisticated, ultra-modern and developed countries in the world. And there is another group also, G20 group. And there are the developed countries and some developing, rapidly developing countries. And we are the part of it. But now, there are some countries like America, Russia, those who are willing to induct India into G7 and make it G8. It means we are upgrading our international image. We are on the way to make our country and declare our country as a developed country. So friends, I'll get disconnected shortly. Maybe I'll see you once again tomorrow and continue with the same topic, and I'll talk about Vision 3. Thank you.